Welcome to the RTS Podcast. I'm Zion Smith. This RTS Podcast will be another different. Normally, on my RTS Podcast, I speak about different experiences and lessons I learned that made me into the person that I am today. I talk about personal stuff like my autism, for example. I talk about how I overcame so much negativity and hardships over the years. Just a few, but this RTS podcast, well, it's about gender. It's about being a man. And pretty much, I am explaining what it's like to be a man in my generation that I'm living in. And why do I think being a man is hard in this generation that I'm living in. So let's get to it. What it's like being a man? Well, if someone were to ask me that question, my answer will be being a man in this generation that I'm living in. For those of you who don't know, I live in Generation Z, I think. And like I said before, I was born on April 20th, 2002. So anyway, getting back to the topic. What is like being a man? Well, at a young age, I was taught to not be intimidated by anyone. The person who taught me that lesson was my dad. Now I remember being young. I was one of those kids that didn't have too many friends. I was one of those kids who always stay in the house. So one day when I was a child, I think I was about 6, 7, or 8 years old. Maybe 9 or 10. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember I was a kid at the time. So there were some kids my age playing football outside of my front yard. And you know, being a kid, you don't fully know what's going on, because when you are a kid, your mind is like a sponge. It takes in and it absorbs every little bit of thing. And you don't really know what's going on because you're a kid and you haven't fully developed yet. So anyway, I was a kid. I had kids my age playing football in my front yard. And I was afraid to play with the other kids because I thought I would never fit in. And I thought that they was gonna intentionally hurt me on purpose. So my dad, he forced me to go outside and play with those kids and play football with those kids because he didn't want me to be intimidated by no one, no matter how big I was, or you know my size and my difference. So my dad, he would always force me to go outside to play with the other kids, to play football, to play basketball. And at that time, I found my love for soccer when I was 8 years old, and here I am, 12 years later. When I was 8 years old, the year was 2010, and that's when I got introduced to soccer. So here I am now in 2022. Soccer is my love. I plan on trying out for ODU soccer in the spring of my sophomore years. So, that's another bit of what it's like to be a man. When you are a man, you're not supposed to be intimidated by anyone. No matter if they big or small, or in a position of power, don't be intimidated by anyone. Because once you walk in there, under the shade, they're gonna smell it, and they're gonna think that something is up and something is fishy. So my dad taught me that at a young age. And I'm sure, if you're a young man like me, or if you're a little older as a man, and you are watching this podcast right now, I'm sure that growing up at a young age, you was taught to be a man, don't cry, stop being soft. I was taught that. Yeah, I was. And so I got older, I realized that it's okay to express your feelings. It's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to, it's okay to cry. I believe that. I'm a firm believer of that. It's okay to not off your emotions sometimes, and be vulnerable, and be expressive. And oftentimes at a young age, we taught to be a man, don't cry, stop being soft all the time. And for some people, according to my experiences and to what I saw, this can be bad, this can be good, depending on the type of person you are. But for some people, it needs to, that young man becoming I'm trying to think the word for this. Okay, sometimes not being vulnerable, it leads to that young man suppressing their feelings all the time, and not being able to open up about issues within themselves, or to the people that makes them feel some type of way. So I also learned that. I also learned, be a man, don't cry, stop being soft. I learned that as well. I also learned, as a man, you should always be honest. You should always be direct, and you should always be assertive. All three of those qualities and all three of those lessons, of course, I know them from my dad. Growing up in my teenage years, I wasn't the best when it came to confidence. I wasn't the best when it came to being direct and honest. And I wasn't the best at being assertive. I was passive. growing up in my teenage years. And of course, it always didn't work out for me because, you know, when it comes to stand up for yourself, how would you feel if a person asks you for some money? Mind you, you only have $20 in your pocket, and you need those $20 to eat and to get through the day. And that person, he or she knows your situation. He or she knows what you're going through. Yet that person still asks you for the rest of your money, and you give that money away. Now that person ends up taking advantage of you, and you have no money left. So that's what being assertive means. You have to stand up for yourself, and sometimes you have to say no. It's okay to say no. If people don't understand that and people fail to comprehend that, that's on them. So that's what I learned in my teenage years. I learned to be assertive. I learned to always be honest and direct as well. I'm 20 years old, and I'm still learning how to be assertive, to be honest, and to be direct. So far, it's been working out for me. I do need a lot more practice at, being assertive, but it's a progress. I know that, when you take things slowly, it starts to build and build and build and build, and once it builds day by day, it will be at the top. So that's what I learned in my teenage years. What else did I learn as a man growing up? Of course, I know how to be confident. Everyone says that if you are a man and you're not confident, then you're not going to get nowhere in life. I believe that 100%. It took me a long time to realize that, because you're in your teenage years, and you're still growing up, you're still developing, and you still getting to know yourself, and your mind is not fully developed yet until you're 25, according to a lot of people and a lot of internet sources. So of course you have to be confident. Man and women has to be confident, but this is about men, not women. So let me get back to the topic. All right. Yeah. When it comes to confidence, I believe confidence slowly builds. And I do believe confidence eventually becomes natural for a lot of people. And the reason why I said that is because coming into college in my freshman year, I was a little confident, but I wasn't quite the best. Now, in my sophomore year, man, my confidence shot to the roof, because I realized that I shouldn't care what people think of me. My dad always taught me that. He always cared. He always taught me to not pay attention to what people have to say about you when it's negative. And when you have that mindset, nobody cannot tell you nothing. So, not caring what anyone thinks of you, being comfortable in your own skin, you know, dressing up the way you want to, you want to dress yourself and how you want to present yourself. You know, oftentimes we need to realize that this is our life. Nobody decides it but you. So that's what being confident is all about. And it took me a long time to realize that. Growing up in my teenage years, I also learned that man cannot be insecure or insecure, if I'm saying it correctly. And if you don't understand me, I have an accent, so excuse me for my accent. A lot of people say that men cannot be insecure and they cannot have insecurities. I never understood that, but let me give you my 2 cents right quick. So I think a lot of people say men cannot have insecurities is because it would make them quote unquote soft in a way, and it it would make a man not feel wanted and desired by a woman if that man has insecurities. Personally, for me, I have a little bit of insecurities. I wish that my nose was smaller. I'm 6 foot. I wish I was an inch taller. But I believe that, you know, people having insecurities, I believe that's natural. But I also believe that you know, if a lot of men has insecurities about themselves, they shouldn't always think about that. They should instead be thankful for the way, for the way that God made them to be, if that makes sense. I believe that 100%. So, getting into the important question: why is it hard being a man in Generation Z? Well, I believe it's hard being a man in this generation because of the dependability of people. Why did I bring up dependability? Well, as a man, you have a lot of people who depend on you. Your siblings, your parents, your close friends, your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. Acquaintances, associates, just about everybody. And that could be hard for some men. And for some men, it can put a burden over their shoulders. And they would start to feel like they cannot let them down. And that will lead to them, being afraid to let people down and, being afraid of disappointing people. I believe that 100%. I know as a man, for me, it's hard. It's hard. Not disappointing people, and when you let people down, you start to realize, oh man, I could have done this better. Also, as a man in this generation, Generation Z, I believe that it's hard for men to find women who is faithful, genuine, supportive, caring, compassionate, dependable, honest, loyal, adventurous, respectful, trustworthy. I believe that it's hard for men of Generation Z to find women like that, because you have some women in Generation Z who thinks that it's okay to downgrade men, to joke about men and talk bad about them on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. When it comes to specific qualities of a man, as a man, you hear it all the time. A man has to be able to provide for the family. He has to be able to put food on the table for the family. He has to be able to be the breadwinner for the family. He has to provide the protection for the family and make the family feel safe. He has to pay for the dates with a woman that he desires. A man has to approach a woman he desires. A man has to what's the other thing? And the man has to be the dominant one when it comes to the whole relationship, and dare I say, sex. All those aspects, all those expectations that I just mentioned is all on a man. And when it comes to modern women in this generation, Gen Z, I I want a man that does this. I want a man that does that. He has to be this. He has to be that. I want a man who's a bad boy. I want a man who's a thug. I want a man who is above 6 feet. I want a man who makes 6 figures. And then sometimes when the woman gets that type of man, oh, he broke my heart. Oh, he disrespected me. Oh, he disrespected me in front of my family and friends. Oh, he doesn't think I'm cute. Oh, he doesn't give me enough approval and validation. Oh, he doesn't take me on enough dates. Oh, he's not so sweet. He's not so handsome. What else do you want? Some women cannot make up their minds. Some women in Gen Z are delusional. Basically, what I'm saying is, I feel like a lot of women, modern women, and Gen Z expects so much from a man, and when it's given to them, they want more. They are never satisfied, and they are ungrateful. I believe that 100%. I saw it for myself. I see it on social media all the time, on YouTube mostly. Do I encourage it? No, I don't. Do I like it? No, I don't like it. Then why do I see it? Well, it's always on my recommendations all the time on social media, YouTube mostly. So as a man, you start to think to yourself, well, I want to be pursued because I'm the prize. I'm the prize because I have to be able to provide. You know, all those expectations that I just mentioned, yeah, that's what the man has to do. And that's what make the man the prize. And you got some men, you know, not approaching modern women because you have modern women who wants to be masculine women. You know, you got so-called masculine women not being able to stay in her place, not being able to be feminine. And as a man, you start to think to yourself, like, is it even worth it? Do I need a girlfriend? Do I need a wife? Now, personally, for me, yes, I believe that it is hard to find a woman in Gen Z who is respectful. You know, because you got some women in Gen Z you know, posting their pictures for validation. You know, I'm not gonna say it, but you know what I mean. You know, and they're, yeah, they're down there. We're not gonna talk about that though. You know, all for validation. then it's like when a man does approach a woman in Gen Z, you know, that he desires, some modern women think that man is a creep, or that man is onto something, or that man is going to sexual harass them or sexual assault them. No, I believe it is hard to be a man because we often get stereotyped for all those things that I just mentioned. My final thoughts. As a man in Generation Z, mind your own business. Work on yourself. Improve every aspect of yourself. Your strengths, your weaknesses, everything. Improve it. Constantly work on yourself by reading books. It can be based on a true story. It can be comic books. It can be self-improvement books. It can be mystery, drama, romanticism, if that's a word. Sci-fi, anything, any book, read it. Improve yourself. Do your research. Learn about every topic in the book. Go to the gym, work out, stay healthy, eat the right foods, eat salads, eat fruits, eat vegetables. And go to the gym to net off that emotion if you are feeling frustrated and sad. Because I've done it for myself. Yesterday, I was just at the gym because I had a tough week. You know? Just 4 days ago, my heart was broken by a close friend who I thought was my close friend. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. Yeah, as a man in this generation of Gen Z, work on yourself. Constantly work on yourself. Be yourself. Don't pay attention to the critics. Don't pay attention to what anyone has to say about you when it's negative. And last but not least, continue to do what you love to do. I'm Zion Smith, and this is the RTS Podcast. Always and forever.